The distant crow of a rooster announced the beginning of a new day and the end of a watchful night. Tired eyes greet each other as the rising of the sun bring restful ease. Exhausted after a long night's sentinel, breakfast is skipped as the widow and young Perkins search the home's exterior, looking for any evidence of their unearthly intruder. The two gaze in silent awe at the sight of wood marred by jagged claws. The widow's rose bushes had been ripped from the earth roots and all. In the soft soil of the flower bed, the tracks of some unknown creature can be plainly seen. From their first view, it appears that the animal had circled the house several times, stopping at each window and then moving on. Only beneath the window of the widow's bedroom it was apparent that there it lingered, obviously having gained their scent. The rabid thing began pacing back and forth. At the foot of the window, among tiny fragments of shattered glass, small puddles of dried blood spoke well of the widow's aim. The bullet had indeed struck its mark. From the strides of the tracks, the stricken monster was in full flight. The wood of the white picket fence had been completely splintered, shattering at the section in which the wretched creature ran, escaping back in the direction from which it came. That being the dreadful Potter's Field. The distant clang of the school bell offers young Perkins little relief as the disconcerting thought of another encounter with Mr. Pickman overwhelms the young man with a sickening sense of nausea. The widow accompanies young Perkins to the crossroads where they then part, he taking the path to the schoolhouse, she taking the path leading to the church, as the reverberation of the bell calls the children too. To class, young Perkins sees the usual group. The school bully arrogantly swaggers past, brushing roughly against young Perkins' shoulder, causing him to stumble forward. Leroy, the class clown, plays tag with Jojo and Booker, twin brothers, who laughingly rush by in an attempt to evade their pursuer's touch. A group of giggling girls skip by as usual. Trina and her sisters make mocking faces at the young man as they go by. But where is Kevin? Looking around, he can see no sign of Kevin. Young Perkins quickens his pace until he reaches the group of girls. They began to snicker, anticipating young Perkins' questions. His little sister Trina's is the first to speak. Kevin, he ain't coming to school today. He ain't feeling good. He ain't sick. He just scared of something. With those words, young Perkins' sense of unease builds. With a mocking sneer, she and her sisters continue in the direction of the schoolhouse. The shocking realization of being left alone, being stranded within the confines of the schoolhouse, instantly removes the strength from his legs. Young Perkins' legs feels like jelly as he reached the open door of the schoolhouse. Stopping, he exhales in exasperation to see the figure of Mr. Pickman. With his back turned, he writes mathematical problems on the chalkboard. Young Perkins eases by and takes his place behind the usual desk. The final child enters the room and takes a seat, whereupon Mr. Pickman turns to address the class. A wry smile slowly spreads across his face as he notices the absence of young Perkins' friend. "Well now, good morning, children. How is everyone today?" Beginning in a cheerful voice, Mr. Pickman questions young Perkins as to the absence of his young friend. "Well, young man, what happened to your young friend? Why isn't he here today?" With a sardonic smile, he further adds, "Playing hooky, is he? No, not that he wouldn't do that. No, Kevin is probably, yes, he's probably sick in bed. Is that it?" "Yes, of course it is. Your little friend, probably, yes, oh yes. I'm sure he's sick in bed. Well, I hope we'll have the pleasure of his company tomorrow. Perhaps I'll go and see him tonight." With those words, Mr. Pickman's gaze turns to ice. Yes, I think I'll pay your young friend a little visit tonight. I might even bring a friend of my own." Young Perkins gripped the edge of his desk, wallowing in the mire of fear, tightly holding on to what little courage his heart possesses. He wants to scream. He wants to run and warn Kevin, but he must remain there, seated at his desk, locked beneath the frigid eyes of that evil man. Young Perkins finds it almost impossible to concentrate on the math problem. With the passing of each hour, the tension builds. Will he be kept behind again today? Will he find himself this time alone in the darkness? Will the evil Mr. Pickman use the seclusion of the empty room to repeat yesterday's nightmare? Kevin's mother didn't own a gun. He never really cared for Trina and her brood. To him, Kevin's little sisters, well, they were all just a bunch of little tormenting brats. They made his life a torment. But even so, they didn't deserve to be ripped apart by some monstrous thing from the pit of hell. Or did they? Young Perkins muses. Maybe if it just got Trina. Would that be so bad? With her gone, those other little brats would probably straighten right up. No, that wouldn't be right. Besides, it would probably get his mother. No, Kevin wouldn't like that. But if whatever it was that stalked the widow's home last night would just take a little nip from Trina's backside, maybe it might do her a bit of good. Mr. Pickman's words repeat in young Perkins' mind. Maybe I'll bring a friend. Maybe I'll bring a friend. Maybe I'll bring a friend. Over and over those words punished the young man, lashing him again and again like the thorny barbs and branches of the potter's field. The hands of the clock seemed to crawl, to lag, making the young man feel that time itself has somehow ceased to exist. Was he trapped in a timeless dimension? The class was silent, save for the sounds of lead pencils scraping against sheets of paper, the children racking their brains to answer the equations presented before them. The silence is suddenly ripped by the school bully's terrified voice, crying, "Look, look!" All heads turned in the direction of the shouts. Standing in the seat of his chair, the bully points in the direction of the empty desk that Jonah once occupied. Eyes grew large at the shocking sight of muddy footprints entering the class through the open door. A deafening silence fills the room, as the only sound heard is the slow, steady, slosh, slosh, sloshing sound of someone walking. Some unseen entity has invited itself. Whatever it was, tread slowly, sluggishly, as if weighted down by water. Muddy tracks led right up to Jonah's desk. The children gasped in horror as the seat showed the imprints of a mud-soaked body. The bully, still standing atop of his chair, nervously called out, "Jonah? Jonah?" The hairs of all heeding the call to attention, as the sound of water-filled lungs began emitting deep, gurgling gasps, as if still submerged beneath Muskie's muddy waters. Young Perkins remained as motionless as his classmates finally managed to cast a brief glance at Mr. Pickman, the teacher's eyes for the first time reflecting a genuine, palpable fear. Mr. Pickman knew, the bully knew, young Perkins, as well as the entire class, all knew. The restless soul seated behind the desk was none other than that of Jonah. The hideous gurgling, accompanying the footsteps once more, begins its slow step, 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 passing down the aisle and out of the open door, its sound continuing in the direction of the Muskie River. Pastor Jackson and the widow were already on their way to the schoolhouse to pick up young Perkins so that he could accompany them to town to purchase new window glass. The panic shouts emanating from within the schoolhouse caused the two to quicken their pace, cries of "Jonah" reverberating from within. Leroy, the class clown, shouts an enthusiastic, "I think I hear my mama calling." Thus the frightened youth quickly rises and rushes in the direction of the open door, only to collide with Pastor Jackson. The collision causes the smaller party to fall to the floor. The pastor and Miss Hazel giggle a bit, amused at the comedic sight of the class clown scrambling to rise. "Pastor Jackson?" the bully calls from the back of the room, still standing in the chair. With a voice impacted with fear, the affrighted bully declares, "Jonah was here," pointing to the empty mud-stained seat. "There, right there." The twins Jojo and Booker rush forward to help the class clown to his feet. All the children affirm the bully's incredible statement. Kevin's little sister, Trina, rushes to the pastor and begins pointing toward the muddy footprints which remain visible. "Look." Trina still pointing, she walks down the aisle and out to the schoolyard. Pastor Jackson and the widow follow the young girl. Trina turned to the two adults and questions, with a simple, "See?" Her query causes Pastor Jackson to follow these mysterious footprints. One by one, the footsteps lead past the schoolyard, down the riverbank, only to disappear beneath the waters of the musky river. Standing at the water's edge, the pastor stops and stares, his mind searching for an explanation. He feels a small hand clasp his. Looking down, he finds the hand is that of Kevin's little sister, Trina, who gazes down at the water and then back up at him and once more questions. "Jonah?" The pastor doesn't wish to frighten the young girl. He lifts her up in his arms without answering and merely returns her back to the group of children who stand at the entryway of the schoolhouse. "It was Jonah," the school bully earnestly declares. The bully's words sends the entire class into a flurry of murmuring. The name Jonah is heard over and over as the children speak in low tones and hushed whispers, deliberating among themselves the true nature of the mysterious apparition. The widow Hazel attempts to ease their fear by enunciating, "Why, you children know better than that. Little Jonah's dead and gone. I should know. I was at the funeral. The pastor, he was there when they put that poor child in the ground. He's the one that read over him. Now ain't that right, Pastor Jackson?" The pastor gives no verbal reply. He merely nods his head, all the while eyeing the rapidly drying footprints on the floor. Young Perkins questions the pastor, while keeping his gaze fixed on Mr. Pickman, who stands silently staring in stone-cold horror. "Pastor," the young man remonstrates, "look at those footprints. Look at where they lead, right up to Jonah's old desk. We all heard the sound of him walking." "That's right, Pastor," says Jojo. "That's right, Pastor Jackson. We wouldn't lie to you," says his brother Booker. The pastor then turns to Mr. Pickman. "What do you think?" Pickman gives no reply. His gaze remains fixed on the rapidly drying footprints. It's obvious to all present that their new teacher, Mr. Pickman, is in shock. Pastor Jackson then announces the end of the school day and orders the children to their homes. The children immediately obey, and one by one they shuffle from the room to begin their long journey home. The widow Hazel attempts to rouse Mr. Pickman, only to be halted by the pastor, who deemed it better to leave him there in that suspended state.
Okay, imagine this. You wake up after a night, just pure terror. And the sun comes up, but it doesn't feel like relief. It's more like, okay, now I have to go outside and look for proof.
Yeah.
Was that unearthly intruder actually real? That's kind of the feeling we're diving into today.
Yeah, exactly.
We're looking at some excerpts from a story called The Spectre of Muskie River.
Yeah.
And this isn't your typical academic paper or anything.
Oh, no, not at all. It's this really gripping narrative fragment. I mean, it's just fantastic at building suspense and that feeling of dread. It's proper psychological, supernatural horror.
Right. So our mission basically is to unpack this story. We want to trace how the tension builds, look at how the different characters react, because they react really differently.
And explore the craft behind it. You know, how does it make something unseen feel so tangible, like leaving actual muddy footprints?
Yeah, those footprints. So get ready. We're going deep into this place where reality and nightmare really start to blur.
Let's do it.
Okay, so the story kicks off right in the thick of it. The morning after, we've got the widow and young Perkins totally exhausted from this watchful night.
They even skip breakfast. They just need to know, need to find evidence.
And what grabs me immediately is how it doesn't just say they were scared. It gives us concrete stuff. How effective is that, starting with such, like, physical proof?
Oh, it's incredibly effective. It's classic show, don't tell, right?
Yeah.
Instead of just saying terror, you see the wood marred by jagged claws.
Yeah.
They're looking at it in silent awe. It grounds everything. This isn't just a ghost story in their heads. Something physical happened.
Yeah.
It makes the whole thing hit harder, you know?
Yeah, the detail is amazing. It's not just random damage either. Like, the widow's prized rose bushes, ripped from the earth roots and all. That feels personal, almost spiteful.
Malicious, yeah. And then the tracks. In the flower bed, the soft soil, tracks of some unknown creature.
Gives you chills just thinking about it.
But it's more than just tracks existing. It's the pattern. The narrative says it circled the house several times, checking windows.
Okay, that's creepy.
But then it gets worse. It lingered beneath the widow's bedroom window. The text says it was obviously having gained their scent, and it paced back and forth.
Oh, man. So it wasn't just some beast. It was intelligent, hunting them.
It suggests that, doesn't it? A kind of predatory focus.
Right.
Which is way scarier than just a wild animal.
Definitely. But the widow, she wasn't just a victim here. The story makes a point of that.
Right.
Small puddles of dried blood spoke well of the widow's aim. The bullet had indeed struck its mark. She actually hit it.
Yeah, that's huge. The blood confirms it was real, something solid enough to bleed. And it shows her resolve. She fought back.
And then the tracks show what happened next.
Exactly. The strides of the tracks show the stricken monster was in full flight. It was wounded and running.
And the way it ran, the white picket fence had been completely splintered, just crashed right through it.
Shows the power, the desperation of its escape. It wasn't sneaking away. It was a forceful bolt.
And where it ran to is also key, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Escaping back of the direction from which it came, that being the dreadful Potter's Field.
Potter's Field, that name alone.
It's loaded, right? Burial ground for the unknown, the poor. It immediately connects the creature to death, the unnatural. It's great symbolism, foreshadowing maybe, tying the horror to this specific unsettling place.
So the immediate physical threat is gone, but then the story does this really clever pivot. The school bell rings, offering young Perkins little relief. He's actually dreading school more, thinking about Mr. Pickman, that sickening sense of nausea.
Yeah, the source of dread shifts completely, doesn't it? From the external monster to this internal psychological threat.
It's brilliant. The widow goes to church, Perkins heads to school, and bam, we're in a different kind of horror. How does that shift work?
Well, it shows how fear isn't just about monsters in the dark. Pickman is this constant familiar tormentor in Perkins's daily life. So the fear becomes inescapable. You know, it follows him from the terrifying night right into the classroom. Makes him feel even more vulnerable.
And the schoolyard scene paints that picture so quickly. The bully swaggering past, Leroy the clown, the twins laughing, Trina and her sisters making faces at him.
It sets the stage perfectly. He's already isolated, already dealing with everyday kid stuff, anxieties, which just makes the looming confrontation with Pickman feel heavier, more suffocating.
Right, but then there's this new layer of unease. Perkins notices, but where is Kevin? His friend isn't there. He asks Trina, Kevin's little sister, and she says something absolutely chilling. Kevin, he ain't coming to school today. He ain't feeling good. He ain't sick. He just scared of something.
Wow. That line just stops you, doesn't it?
It really does.
It connects the night's terror directly to the school. Suddenly, Kevin's fear isn't random. It raises questions about Pickman, like what does he know? Is he involved somehow?
And Perkins's anxiety spikes. Then Pickman makes his entrance. The description of that wry smile spreading across his face when he sees Kevin's empty desk.
It's pure menace. It's not just a teacher noticing an absence. It feels calculated, like he's pleased.
And he goes right for Perkins. After this fake, cheerful, good morning, children, he singles him out. His voice turns nasty, asking about Kevin.
Yeah, that shift is jarring.
Well, young man, what happened to your young friend? Why isn't he here today? Then he pretends to guess. Playing hooky, is he? No, he's probably sick in bed.
That faux concern is just dripping with sarcasm.
Well, I hope we'll have the pleasure of his company tomorrow. Perhaps I'll go and see him tonight. And then this bit. Yes, I think I'll pay your young friend a little visit tonight. I might even bring a friend of my own.
Chilling. Absolutely chilling.
His gaze turns to ice. Forget the creature, this guy. He feels like the real monster in this moment. That line about bringing a friend, what does that even mean?
It's terrifying because it's so loaded. It's not just taunting. It sounds like a direct threat, linking him somehow to the night's horror, maybe even to the creature itself, or another creature. It hints at this, like hierarchy of evil. Maybe Pickman isn't the top dog, you know?
Yeah, wow. And poor Perkins is just falling apart inside. Gripped the edge of his desk, wallowing in the mire of fear. Wants to scream, run, warn Kevin, but he's frozen.
Paralyzed by Pickman's gaze.
And his internal thoughts get so dark, he thinks about Trina, the girl who was mocking him. Maybe if it just got Trina, would that be so bad?
That's such a powerful moment. It shows how intense fear can, warp you, even a child. It pushes him to this awful thought, this internalizing of the horror.
He pulls back from it, realizing his mother might get hurt or Kevin wouldn't like it. But just the fact that the thought occurred.
Shows the psychological damage, right? The sheer desperation. He's really on the edge.
Meanwhile, the classroom is just tense. The clock hands crawl. Time feels like it's stopped. Everyone's quiet, just the sound of pencil scraping, trying to do math problems.
It's that calm before the storm, isn't it? That awful, heavy silence where you just know something's about to break. The quiet makes the eventual disruption feel even louder, more shocking.
In break it does, suddenly ripped by the school bully's terrified voice crying, "Look, look!" Everyone looks, the bully's pointing at Jonah's empty desk.
And this is where the supernatural just crashes back in, undeniable.
Totally undeniable. Muddy footprints entering the class through the open door leading right up to Jonah's desk.
Wow.
On the seat. The imprints of a mud-soaked body.
Physical evidence right there for everyone to see. It's not just Perkins' fear anymore. It's shared. It validates everything.
The silence then is deafening until this sound starts. The slow, steady, sloshing sound of someone walking. And deep gurgling gasps, as if still submerged beneath Muskie's muddy waters. It's auditory horror now, too. So visceral.
You can almost hear it. The whole class gasps. The bully whispers, "Jonah!" Everyone knows it's him. The restless soul seated behind the desk was none other than that of Jonah.
It's not just a feeling anymore. It's a presence, witnessed by everyone.
And then the camera pans, metaphorically speaking, to Mr. Pickman. And for the first time, his eyes show genuine, palpable fear.
Yes. The big bad teacher is suddenly terrified. That's a huge shift.
It completely flips the script, doesn't it? It reinforces that idea of a hierarchy of horror. Whatever Jonah is, whatever force he represents, it scares even Pickman. It suggests Pickman's cruelty is maybe small potatoes compared to the real darkness in this town.
And then the presence leaves. The sloshing, gurgling footsteps go down the aisle, out the door.
Heading back towards the Muskie River, the source. Jonah's spirit is tied to that water, clearly restless.
So now we've got the creature, Pickman, and a literal ghost in the classroom. How are these things connected? It's just escalating like crazy.
It really is. The narrative is weaving these different threads of horror together brilliantly.
And right at that moment, who shows up but Pastor Jackson and Widow Hazel? They're coming to get Perkins, hear the panic shouts, the cries of Jonah, and hurry inside.
Just as Leroy, the class clown, comes bolting out and practically runs into the pastor.
The timing is perfect, really. The adults arrive right after the main event. Initially, they probably think it's just kids acting up.
But that changes fast. They step into this classroom filled with terrified children and evidence.
The bully, still freaked out, points and says Jonah was here. All the kids back him up. Yeah, Jonah, the twins, everyone. Trina points out the muddy footprints.
It's that collective testimony again. Impossible to dismiss as just one kid's story. And the footprints, they become the focal point.
Right. The pastor, the widow, and Trina follow the tracks outside, past the schoolyard, down the riverbank.
Only to disappear beneath the waters of the Muskie River. A direct physical trail from the classroom haunting right back to the source. It's undeniable.
Standing there, Trina just asks, Jonah, such a simple, heartbreaking question. And the pastor, He can't answer. He just picks her up and takes her back to the others.
That silence from the pastor speaks volumes, doesn't it? He's the spiritual leader, the one supposed to have answers, but faced with this, he's got nothing. It shows the limits of their known world, their faith, maybe.
Yeah. Then Widow Hazel tries to bring things back to normal, tries to rationalize.
The adult instinct to restore order.
He tells the kids, "Why, you children know better than that. Little Jonah's dead and gone. I should know. I was at the funeral. The pastor, he was there." She's using facts, logic.
Yet the facts are staring them in the face, contradicting her. The pastor doesn't even back her up verbally. He just nods while eyeing the rapidly drying footprints on the floor.
Those drying footprints. Such a great image. The evidence is literally evaporating, but the impact remains.
Exactly. It's this lingering proof that challenges everything they thought they knew. Even the one who buried the boy can't deny what he's seeing.
And Perkins isn't letting it go. He points it all out to the pastor, the footprints, where they led. We all heard the sound of him walking. But he keeps looking at Pickman,
who is still just gone, silently staring in stone-cold horror.
The pastor even asks Pickman, "What do you think?" No response. He's just in shock.
Pickman's state is maybe the most telling thing for the adults. The authority figure, the tormentor, is completely broken by this. It shows the adults that whatever happened, it was real and profoundly terrifying. Their whole sense of control is shattered.
So the pastor just calls it a day, sends the kids home, tells the widow not to even try rousing Pickman. Better to leave him there in that suspended state.
Wow. Just leave him there, catatonic. It shows how deeply shaken everyone is. The adults don't know how to fix this, how to process it. The supernatural event has just completely disrupted their world.
So this story fragment, it just leaves us hanging with so many questions, right?
Absolutely. It's designed to unsettle, to leave you thinking.
Like, was that creature at the widow's house, the clawed thing that ran back to Potter's Field, was that connected to Jonah? To the river? Is it all one big interconnected horror?
Or are they separate manifestations of something dark tied to that place, the Muskie River area? And Pickman, what is his deal? He goes from being this menacing figure to being terrified himself. Does he know more? Is he involved? Or just another potential victim?
His terror suggests he knows something worse is out there, doesn't it?
It really does.
And you have to wonder, when things get this blurry, the line between life and death, what's real and what isn't, how does a town even function? How do you find safety or peace?
It makes you think about what else might be lurking.
Right.
What other secrets are buried near that river waiting to surface?
It's definitely a story that sticks with you, leaves you wondering. If your reality started to fray like that, with muddy footprints appearing from nowhere, what would you even do?
A deeply unsettling thought to end on.